Hey guys, welcome back to Margot Watches Movies. My name is Jake Margot, and today we're going to be talking about episode 11 of season 2, the final season of Andor. This is the penultimate episode for the entire series, and it is another absolute riveting 45 minutes of television. I have one minor complaint I'll save a little bit down the line, but for the most part, this was such a tightly constructed, wonderful screenplay by Tony Gilroy. All the story elements here, you can just see it unfolding. Everything is so meticulously thought out and executed, and it all converges to set the stage for what appears to be a grand finale. We'll see, and I'll try and get that review for episode 12 up as soon as I can. I'm trying to build it around my workday, but this episode for me was just a non-stop building of tension. And I mean, there's parts of this episode where I felt a little breathless in a sense, because there's so much at stake now. Stakes have been raised so high, and we get so many wonderful glimpses again in a show from the ground level where the threat of what is at stake is made so emphatically clear. And bad guys in Star Wars finally feel like actual terrifying villains. And, this episode starts basically in the immediate aftermath of the end of episode 10. You have Luthen's surrogate daughter trying to send a distress call, and you have the ISB hot on her heels investigating how this happened. You have Deidre locked away in a cell, subject to interrogation. You have this gentleman who's been promoted in her stead. Stakes are laid at his feet. The stakes of his life, if he is to succeed, it is to save his life. Right, so this opening 15 minutes was just so well done. It's all dialogue, and it's wonderfully scored. The music in this episode really does a good job of just building up that tension. And a couple things that really stood out to me is obviously Krennic, director Krennic, played by Ben Mendelsohn, one of the best TV character actors of all time, is in absolute peak top form in this episode, Emmy Awards worthy. And as he is investigating Deidre, and this is a gentleman, by the way, who in like Rogue One, you see him shrunk to the size of a shadow in the presence of Lord Vader. And what I love about this show is, again, at the street level aspects, they smartly keep Palpatine as just a name with so much weight off in the sky almost, because he is a near god when you're comparing him to these other people. And same with Darth Vader. And then to see that parallel from how he gets shrunk in Rogue One back now to the end of this prequel, when he's investigating and interrogating Deidre in that holding chamber, he is absolutely imposing. He is the scariest man she has ever come across in her life, and he shrinks her. And he takes all the work, all the praise he even gave her, because he was a fan of her at the start of this season. He takes all of that and reduces it to nothing. He knows that she held out information. He knows that the gentleman that Luthen killed last episode, who was a spy within the ISB for the Rebel Alliance, he knows that he has the info on the Death Star, and whether she gave it to him or not, which she didn't, but in this man's eyes, she had the information, allowed it to be stolen. She is just as guilty as any Rebel, allied member. And he treats her with such disdain. And all this work we've been seeing from her built up is just reduced to ash. And it was a brilliant scene. And then we get a meeting with him being director Krennic, Partagaz, played by Qyburn from Game of Thrones, and the gentleman who who has been promoted in her stead. The stakes are delivered to him, and the whole basis of the episode, at least on the Empire and ISB's end, is laid as Luthen's surrogate daughter. She starts sending out a distress call from a radio in that safe house that we've seen all season that Andor and Bix lived in, and we saw it last episode as well. But not last episode, episode 9, excuse me. And from this point, we cut to Andor. He's in Yavin playing cards with K2SO and some other rebel guys, and the distress call comes in. And it's at this point where the episode starts to parallel everything so wonderfully, where you have the ISB on one hand, as we established, you have the rebels along with Andor on the other hand. And Andor gets the coordinates. He knows he has to go to Coruscant. He thinks it's Luthen sending the message. And the parallels here is you have the ISB is in absolute emergency mode, trying to cover up and prevent this information from getting out about the Death Star. And we finally get the name Death Star stated in this episode, which was cool in that interrogation between Krennic and Dedra. Say the words, Death Star. That was cool. Great writing, right? So we have Andor making the call, ignoring his superior officers, Drayden and others. And the Republic now, the Rebel Alliance, is kind of paralleling the ISB, where now they're scrambling into cover-up mode because they can't have their base of operations, which has been kept as secret as the Death Star has been kept on the other end, from getting out and being exposed. And as Andor makes the call and he is heading to Coruscant, you have the ISB's investigation, where they salvage some of the parts of the radio that Luthen was trying to destroy. And that signal is also going to that radio. So unless I missed it, that seemed a little convenient, but I'm very much willing to overlook that because, again, what this episode is able to accomplish is just a masterclass in tension. There was Breaking Bad levels of tension throughout this episode. And so as Andor and K2SO and the other guy are coming to Coruscant, you have the ISB deciphering the transmitter, figuring out her location. They cut comms right as Andor and the other gentleman arrive to her location. So you have the ISB on one hand, you have Andor, K2SO, and his buddy on the other, and it's a slow convergence of these plot threads getting ready to intertwine. And again, it's just holding your breath levels of tension. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there is the benefit of knowing Andor will always make it out, but you don't know about his buddy, and you certainly don't know about, I keep forgetting her name. I think it's Kira or something like that, Luthen's surrogate daughter. And as Andor finds her, he discovers Luthen's dead. She tells him the plan of the Death Star. And it doesn't seem like she wants to go to Yavin. I don't know if part of it is that she just knows her time is up, or if she's concerned about her safety. But as she's sitting there deliberating, this was one of those episodes where I was like wanting to scream at the TV. Who cares what your safety is in Yavin? These guys are right on your ass because you have the ISB converging on the same location. K2SO sees the Imperial ship fly in and your blood is rushing. You have this excitement, and everything, every piece is now in play. You have the ISB watching, Partagaz is watching from afar, and as they're deliberating what to do, you have the ISB coming in. They pinpoint their exact location, and it seems like everything is ready to explode, and then the episode ends. And I think that's where my disappointment lies, because you had so much build up that I would have liked to see some resolution, especially because there's still a couple other storylines that we could be dealing with in the next episode. I would have liked to have seen this episode have an actual conclusion, because it basically felt like part one of a part two finale. And it was an incredible part one finale. It really, I mean, everything is in place now where I'm upset. I have to go back to work for a few more hours. I would have just loved to have gone right into episode 12, as I'm sure everyone else has eagerly done. But for me, this episode is incomplete, but for what it does, I'll still give it a 9. Because it is just a masterclass in building tensions and in screenwriting and in having all these plot points converge in such a natural and an organic way that it all makes sense. There's one minor gripe, I guess, with why the transmitter that she's using would be going to the one at Luthen's antique store, but maybe that's just something I missed. And lack of resolution keeps this from being possibly the best episode in the series, because for a while there I was thinking this might be better than episode 8, and I was liking it even more than episode 10, which was another masterpiece episode of television. So I mean, these last 4 episodes of Andor have just been jaw-dropping television. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll have episode 12 up definitely today. I'm 100% watching it. I am going to be trying to work through this in breathless anticipation. But let me know what you guys think. What did you think of the episode? Do you agree maybe it was lacking in resolution? Would you have liked to see the episode play out, or are you happy that it's all setting up into what should be a really big finale? Give me a like if you like the review. Hit that subscribe button. But that's all for today. My name is Jake Margo. This is Margo Watches Movies.